Hi there, thank you so much for watching. My name is Serenity and I am a first responder wife, part-time, kind of full-time homemaker, I guess full-time now, since COVID. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, as I said, and today we're going to be talking about 5 habits that can help you become and feel more feminine. All right, grab yourself a cup of coffee and let's get into it. Okay, so as I said, we're going to be talking about 5 habits to make you feel more feminine. So as you can see, I have my iPad here to help me remember because I'm not always the best at that. But the first one that I wanted to talk about is become invested in your own personal style. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I feel like to say get interested in fashion is not only too broad of a term, it's somewhat too shallow. Because you can be interested in fashion, but that's very much a shifting and changing thing, and it's not personal. That doesn't have to do with you. Whereas when you become interested in your own personal style, what you're focusing on is who are you as an individual? What do you like? Who do you want to, I guess, represent yourself as to the world? When you show up on a daily basis to the world, how do you want to present yourself? Who do you want to be perceived as? One of the things that I realized was I want to be perceived as a feminine, elegant, but still kind of, I guess you can say girly, I guess maybe whimsical is the word I'm looking for. Whimsical type of person, but who is still elegant, put together, and has that professional side. Does that make sense? And I know those two can sound kind of oxymoronic, whimsical and professional, but that's what's beautiful about fashion, is that's what I like, that's what I want, and so that's what I focus on with my personal style. So that's point 1. Let me pull this up. And the reason why I think that focusing and honing in on your own personal style is so influential in making yourself feel more feminine as a habit is that it really does cater to that beautification side of femininity. That is such an integral part of being a woman, is the desire and also, I guess, the gifting. We have a unique gifting as women to beautify the space around us as well as ourselves. It was interesting. I actually was doing a devotional with my husband the other day, and the devotion was about how beauty is such an integral and important part of God's character. And so the writer of the devotional was saying, make sure that you're spending a little bit of time in beauty every day, or with beauty, and prioritizing that as a daily habit. And it was interesting because I remember I asked my husband, I was like, well, I get to do that. I'm a homemaker. I try and go for a run or a walk outside every day. I feel like I get time in beauty, but what about do you? And it was so sweet because his response was, he does get time with beauty because of me. And that for me was just such an honor as a homemaker to hear that, where he views not just myself, but the way that I take care of our home as being his time in beauty because of the way which I beautify things. So again, that's point 1. Okay, we're still filming. I had to make sure. My second point was try to master a few recipes, whether that is cooking or baking. I have found that for me, cooking is really my strong suit. I'm not the best baker out there, so I stick to cooking. I'm working on baking. But master a few recipes and really hone in on those and learn how to feel confident around those recipes. And the reason for that is because of hospitality as well as service. When there's an opportunity to be hospitable, when there's an opportunity to serve somebody, you want to be able to know that you can do that through food confidently. You know, it's kind of like that classic old adage of when somebody has a baby, when somebody dies, when somebody gets divorced, when somebody gets married, what do? You bring them a casserole or, something of that nature. And so having a few recipes, casserole or pie or otherwise, that make you feel confident, that you know you can execute very well, that you know you are able to cook or bake deliciously and beautifully, really is one of those habits and skills that as you hone in on it will make you feel more feminine, and in reality it will help you to be more feminine, not just feel feminine. So that was my second point. My third one, this is one of my favorites because I used to not do this. Develop a cleaning routine for your space. Now, why do I say that? It goes back to that of the beautification, the service and hospitality side. It does combine those two, as well as discipline. We cannot be feminine women without discipline. It's just not going to work. Femininity is, yes, it's a characteristic, but it's a skill. It's something that we work on and we hone. So by having a set cleaning routine, not only are we daily practicing those feminine, I guess, chores of cooking and cleaning and all of that good stuff, but by having that cleaning routine, you're giving yourself a daily time to nurture the space around you, to make it ready for hospitality, as well as to beautify it. I think that when I wasn't focusing on this, I had so much insecurity about when people would come over, and I didn't know why. I just always like, oh, I just don't like to host. I don't like to host. Since developing a cleaning routine, and one that I've kind of honed, and it works for this particular space. If we move, I'm gonna have to redevelop a different cleaning routine for that space. But the one that I have for this space works. I feel confident in it. So now I feel confident when my husband kind of randomly brings somebody over, although that's rare. He's very good about like texting me first. But you know, it just does that level of confidence that somebody can come by and I feel ready. It's almost the same principle as why we like to invest in good hygiene, so that when we go out, we're not disgusting. I feel like it's a similar practice for our home, as well as the beautification side, why we like to, you know, put on not just sweatpants and a t-shirt to go to the grocery store. I feel like it's the same concept of let's have our home ready for whatever may come, so that even the mailman, if he gets a peek inside the house, it looks nice. It's not a mess. All right, that was point number 3. I'm sorry if I'm speaking a little bit fast. I am a little bit feel a little bit out of touch, and it's a new setup and all of that, so we're figuring it out. A couple deep breaths. We got this. Point number 4. Develop a feminine hobby or two. My main 3, I guess, actually, are knitting, sewing, and reading. I really believe that those hobbies help me to feel more feminine. They help me to exude more femininity. And that's ultimately one of my goals with my time in general, is I want to cultivate habits. I want to utilize my time in a manner which then promotes my feminine side. I don't want to just randomly be wasting my time away and not take stock of what's going on with it. So by having those feminine habits, I ensure that even in my downtime, what I'm doing is, for the most part, still, I guess you could almost say, like adding to that femininity bank. It's still adding to that wealth of femininity, that habit, that, I hate to say the word aura, but you get what I'm trying to say. It adds to that as a characteristic. Now, your hobbies will look different for you. You know what I mean? Mine happen to be knitting, sewing, and reading. Those have kind of always been my interests since I was a little girl. Those are the ones that stay with me. That said, I probably don't knit or sew except for like once every couple months each. However, reading is a regular thing. But even still, those are the things that when I have downtime, I go to that, you know, whether it is reading, knitting, or sewing, usually reading. I find that especially with reading, because that's the one that I do the most, I really appreciate the effect that it has on me as an individual in adding also to that wealth of, I call it my intellectual bank. Like, picture your mind as a bank. What are you putting in there? So when I'm reading, I feel like I'm adding wealth to that intellectual bank, so that when I'm having conversations with people, I do feel slightly more educated on the topics that interest me, as opposed to just being like, I vaguely like psychology, but I don't actually delve into various things that pertain to that. By reading certain books, it allows me to feel more well-rounded on that scope and more capable to engage in conversations regarding that. All right, so that was point number 4. Point number 5, again, this one, similar to point number 3, I love to speak on because it's newish for me. It's, since being an adult, this was not a lifelong habit of mine, but that is to develop an exercise routine that works for you. So the reason I say that is, exercise can be such an emotional thing, and it always was for me. And so by developing a routine that is right for me, what it does is it imparts confidence so that I do feel confident in my body, confident in the way that I walk and how I carry myself and the way that I look, as well as the actual action of completing those exercises brings me joy, as opposed to being something I'm like begrudging and not looking forward to. So that's one that I really do have to say. I didn't always do that, but I have seen the difference since I have been doing that. Since I have been trying to have about 30 minutes of exercise every day, I feel that difference of the confidence level, and not only in how I look, but just in myself. I feel more confident in myself. I feel more energized. And as we know, confidence, energy, those are feminine qualities. And in doing it in a feminine way, I like to exercise in nature for the sake of, again, surrounding myself with that beauty. It feels, again, almost like my femininity bank. It fills that so that is what is fueling my reasoning behind working out, is beautification, it is confidence, it is health, as opposed to the competitiveness that it can sometimes have. There was a period when I was working out in the gym and I would find myself scanning in that kind of competitive spirit, as opposed to working out in nature. I'm not scanning the other people. I'm focused on my run and on the trees and on the mountains, and it's just an entirely different experience. But I really do find that developing an exercise routine that works for me, it has also added to my elegance, which is something that, again, I value that. I want to be elegant. I want to move elegantly. And so through having a solid exercise routine, I have found that has really added to that, and it has really helped cultivate that, where my movements have become more elegant because I am not only more confident in my body in terms of how I look, but I'm more confident in controlling my body. I am confident that I am the one determining how my hands move, how my legs move. It's just an entirely different sense of ownership of this vessel that I am in on earth when I exercise versus the seasons when I haven't, and I'm kind of just like there. So anyways, those are my 5 habits to help cultivate femininity within you, to help make you feel more feminine. Not sure what the title will be. And I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you back next time for another video. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. It means a bunch. Bye.